Welcome back to the channel, Rare Coins History, where every coin has a story, and some of those stories come with jaw-dropping surprises. Today, we're diving deep into the world of classic American pennies, a piece of copper that may seem humble, but might just be one of the most valuable items in your collection. So get ready, because we're about to explore the incredible story behind the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Now, most people glance at pennies and think of them as pocket change. But coin collectors know better. Especially when it comes to older pennies, those with the wheat ears on the reverse side. If you've ever seen one, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. That vintage design with two curved stalks of wheat, framing the words, 1 cent and United States of America, is iconic. It's nostalgic, it's historic, and for some lucky folks, it's incredibly valuable. Let's rewind the clock to 1941. The world was on the brink of change. World War II was escalating. America hadn't yet entered the war, but the atmosphere was tense, and the U.S. Mint continued doing what it did best, producing currency for a growing and uncertain nation. That year, Lincoln Wheat Pennies were minted in three major locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can tell where your penny was made by looking just under the date. A D means it was minted in Denver. An S indicates San Francisco. And if there's no letter at all, that's Philadelphia. Now here's what's fascinating. In 1941, the U.S. Mint produced over 1 billion wheat pennies. So naturally, many people assume they're not rare. But that's where things get interesting. Because while the coin itself is common in lower conditions, certain versions, especially those with strong details, minting errors, and rare characteristics, are anything but common. Some coins from that year were struck using slightly worn dies. Others were struck more than once by accident, creating what's known as a double die variety. In other cases, a mint mark may have been repunched, placed incorrectly, or even entirely missing when it shouldn't be. These small differences, barely noticeable to the untrained eye, can drastically affect the value of the coin, but condition is the key that unlocks the real treasure. A 1941 penny that was used and worn down over decades might only be worth a few cents or a couple of dollars. But a penny that was never circulated? A coin that still holds its original luster, full details, and sharp strike? That's what collectors crave. These are known as mint state coins, and they're graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with coins graded 65 and up considered premium quality. Now imagine this: you're cleaning out an old desk drawer, maybe going through a dusty coin jar passed down from a grandparent. You see a penny that looks old, really old. You flip it over and see the wheat ears. Then you flip it back and spot the date, 1941. It's got a mint mark under the year, and the color looks bright, almost untouched. Maybe there's something different about it. So you do a little research. You compare it to known varieties. And then it hits you: this isn't just any penny. Some 1941 wheat pennies are what collectors call transitional rarities. That means they were minted using slightly outdated or unique dies, resulting in minor but meaningful design differences. Some have been found with doubling on the date or the lettering. Others feature a dramatic repunched mint mark or off-center strikes. And if such a coin is preserved in excellent condition? That's when we start talking big money. These rare and high-grade Lincoln Wheat Pennies are always in demand at auctions. Collectors from all over the world compete to get their hands on them. And prices? Let's just say they can exceed anything you'd expect for a 1-cent piece. Now for the part that will make you want to check every single penny you own. Among the finest known examples of the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny, especially those with verified mint errors, rare die varieties, and pristine, uncirculated condition, one has been sold for a jaw-dropping total of $73,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny. 1 cent. From 1941. Sold for more than the average yearly income. It's the perfect example of how something so small can hold incredible value, if you know what to look for. That's why coin collecting isn't just a hobby. It's a hunt. A treasure hunt where patience, knowledge, and curiosity can lead to once-in-a-lifetime discoveries. So what should you do next? Dig out that old coin collection. Check the jars in your garage. Look through your grandparents' keepsakes. Pay attention to the mint marks, the condition, the details. If you find a 1941 wheat penny that looks especially sharp or unusual, it's worth getting it evaluated by a professional grading service. Because you never know, you could be holding a piece of history worth tens of thousands of dollars. Today's video is all about one of the most legendary coins in U.S. numismatic history. A tiny copper piece that sparked excitement, created mystery, and even caused lines of people to form at banks in the 1950s hoping to find one. We're talking about none other than the 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny. A 1-cent coin that has become iconic in the coin collecting world, not just for its design and history, but for a mistake. A beautiful, bold mistake that turned this penny into pure gold for those lucky enough to find one. Before we dive into what makes this coin so incredibly valuable, let's take a moment to appreciate the history behind it. The Lincoln Cent series began in 1909, marking the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, and its release was a major moment in American coinage. The reverse side featured 2 stalks of wheat curving along the edges, a simple, elegant symbol of prosperity and national pride. Now let's jump to 1955. It was a time of post-war growth in America. Rock and roll was gaining momentum, televisions were appearing in living rooms across the country, and in the world of coin production, something unusual was about to happen. In 1955, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia produced millions of wheat pennies as usual. But during the process of creating the dies, those heavy steel cylinders that stamp the design onto coins, an error occurred that would go down in coin collecting history. Somehow, one of the dies used to mint pennies became misaligned during the hubbing process. This caused a phenomenon known as double die, where the design elements were stamped twice, slightly offset. The result? A coin that looks like it has a shadow. The date, the word liberty, and in God we trust all appear clearly doubled. Not faintly. Not subtly. But bold and obvious, even to the naked eye. This isn't just a minor error, it's dramatic, and it turned the 1955 penny into one of the most famous error coins in American history. But here's the kicker, these weren't intended for circulation. The error wasn't caught right away. A few thousand of these coins got mixed in with regular 1955 cents and were shipped out to banks and businesses across the country. Suddenly, ordinary people were finding them in their change. News spread like wildfire, and people began rushing to get rolls of pennies from banks, hoping to find one of these now famous double die errors. Fast forward to today, and the 1955 double die penny is one of the most recognized and desired coins by collectors everywhere. But there's more to the story. There are also 1955 wheat pennies with a D mint mark, indicating they were minted in Denver. These coins are not part of the famous double die group, but they can still be worth money if they're in excellent condition or have other unique errors. Some Denver minted coins from that year have been found with off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and even minor doubling, though not as dramatic as the Philadelphia version. But regardless of the mint, one thing is clear, the 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny captures everything collectors love: historical significance, design beauty, and the thrill of the hunt. Whether you find one with a dramatic error, or you uncover one that's been perfectly preserved in a collection for decades, this coin has the potential to be a true gem. What makes it especially exciting is that it could still be out there. Remember, thousands of these pennies were released into circulation. And while many have been found, certified, and sold, others could still be hiding in jars, drawers, and forgotten collections, just waiting to be discovered. So how do you know if you've got one? First, look closely at the date. The doubling is most obvious in the numbers, 1955. The fives in particular will appear thick and shadowed. Next, check the word liberty on the left side, it should also show clear doubling. The same goes for in God we trust across the top. If the doubling looks dramatic and consistent across those areas, you might have found something extraordinary. Of course, the condition of the coin plays a huge role in its value. A coin that's been circulated with heavy wear will still be valuable, but those in uncirculated or near mint condition are worth far more. That's why many collectors send their coins to professional grading services to get them authenticated and graded on the official 70-point scale. And now, it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for, the value reveal. Among the rarest, best-preserved examples of the 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny, particularly those with the legendary double die error in brilliant, uncirculated condition, one remarkable specimen has been sold to a private collector for a breathtaking total of $80,000. Yes, you heard that right. A coin worth just 1 cent when it was minted has gone on to fetch a price many people would dream of earning in an entire year. Today's story is one that takes us deep into America's past, with a coin that collectors are always searching for. We're shining the spotlight on the 1939 Lincoln Wheat Penny, yes, a 1-cent coin from over 80 years ago. But don't let the word penny fool you. What looks like a simple copper coin could be a hidden gem, especially if it has the right mint mark, condition, and a touch of rare history. Now, to understand why the 1939 penny matters, we have to travel back to a very different time. The year was 1939, America was just starting to recover from the Great Depression. Franklin D. Roosevelt was in his second term as president. The world was on the brink of war, with tensions rising in Europe. And while most people were focused on survival and security, the U.S. Mint was busy producing the coins that would be used to buy bread, newspapers, and the occasional movie ticket to escape from everyday life. The Lincoln Wheat Penny had already been in circulation for 30 years by then. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, it was the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. On one side, we see Lincoln's profile, timeless and resolute. On the reverse, 2 stalks of wheat curve along the sides, giving the coin its name. It's a classic design that has stood the test of time. In 1939, the Mint produced wheat pennies at 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. If you're holding one right now, take a look below the date. If there's no letter, it was minted in Philadelphia. A small d means it came from Denver, and an S indicates San Francisco. Each location had slightly different minting totals and practices, which means certain versions are rarer than others, especially in pristine condition. Let's talk numbers. Over 316 million Lincoln cents were minted in Philadelphia in 1939, making the no-mint mark coin fairly common. Denver produced around 15 million, while San Francisco came in at just under 53 million. Now that may still sound like a lot, but time changes everything. Over the decades, most of these pennies have been lost, damaged, or worn down through daily use. Finding one in truly great condition is a challenge, and here's where it gets exciting. The value of a 1939 Lincoln Wheat Penny isn't just about age. It's about condition, rarity, and unique errors. The highest value coins are those that have never been circulated. That means they've been preserved with all their original details intact, no scratches, no dulling, no signs of wear. These coins are called mint state and are professionally graded on a scale of 1 to 70, with anything above 65 being especially desirable, but there's more. Some 1939 wheat pennies are worth even more due to minting errors. We're talking double dies, repunched mint marks, and off-center strikes. These mistakes, though rare, are like golden tickets for collectors. They make the coin truly one of a kind, and as a result, their value can skyrocket. Imagine this: you're sorting through an old coin collection from your grandfather, or digging through a box of change at a garage sale. You pull out a penny that looks a little different. The date says 1939, and there's an S underneath. You notice how sharp the detail is, how crisp the lettering looks. Something about it tells you it's not just another old coin. You look it up. Maybe you even send it to be graded. And what you find out surprises you beyond belief, because it's not just a vintage penny. It's a rare survivor. A coin that spent decades untouched, preserved perfectly through time, possibly even struck with a unique variation that sets it apart from all the rest. These are the coins that serious collectors will pay huge amounts for. Because finding an early Lincoln cent in top condition is already rare. But finding one from 1939, with a special mint mark or error, is like discovering a tiny piece of treasure lost in time. Now comes the part that makes collectors' hearts race, and the reason you should be checking every old penny in your possession. Among the finest examples ever discovered of the 1939 Lincoln Wheat Penny, with a strong strike, a clear mint mark, and flawless surfaces. One incredible specimen has sold for an astonishing total of $84,000. Yes, you heard that. Right. 1 cent. A penny. Worth $84,000. It's not a fantasy. It's not just a collector's dream. It's a real event that proves even the smallest coin can hold immense value. If you know what to look for. So here's what to do next. If you've got a collection of old pennies, especially ones dated from the 1930s and 1940s, start going through them. Look for sharp details, unusual errors, and mint marks like S or D. And if you think you've found something special, don't hesitate to get it evaluated by a professional grading service. Because that tiny coin might just be worth more than you ever imagined. Today's video is going to change how you look at something as small as a penny. Because today, we're uncovering the story of a coin that many of us have seen, but few truly understand. It's a piece of American history, a collector's favorite, and in rare cases, an absolute jackpot. We're diving into the fascinating world of the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny. That's right, a simple copper cent that could be hiding in an old jar, a coin album, or even tucked away in a dusty drawer somewhere, and it could be worth far more than its face value. So, what makes the 1957 penny so special? Let's start with some background. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series began in 1909, created to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, and it stayed in circulation with its iconic wheat reverse for 50 years. By 1957, the design was nearing the end of its era. Just 1 year later, in 1958, the wheat design would be retired and replaced by the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. That makes 1957 one of the final years for this classic design, and collectors know how special that makes it. The 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny was minted in 2 locations, Philadelphia and Denver. The mint mark can be seen just below the date on the front of the coin. If there's a small D under the year, your coin was struck in Denver. If there's no mint mark, it came from Philadelphia. Both versions were produced in the millions, but not all were created equal. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but if millions were made, how can any of these be valuable? Well, here's the secret. While the 1957 penny isn't rare in general, the condition of the coin and certain minting errors make all the difference. That's what separates an ordinary penny from one that collectors will pay thousands, or even tens of thousands, for. Let's talk condition first. Over the decades, most of these pennies have been circulated, worn, and dinged. But a few were never used. These are called uncirculated or mint state coins. They still have their original shine, full detail, and no signs of wear. These coins are graded by professionals on a 70-point scale, with anything over 65 considered a high-grade collector piece. A 1957 penny in mint state, especially one with a rich, red luster and no scratches, is already valuable. But it gets even more exciting when we add minting errors into the mix. Some 1957 Lincoln Wheat Pennies were struck with unusual mistakes that went unnoticed at the time. These include double die obverse, where the date and lettering appear doubled, off-center strikes, where the design is shifted noticeably from the center, and even die cracks or repunched mint marks, which means the mint mark was punched twice in slightly different positions. These errors are rare. And when combined with excellent condition, they turn a common coin into a collector's dream. Imagine this. You're looking through your grandfather's old coin jar. You come across a shiny 1957 penny. At first glance, it looks like any other. But then you spot something unusual. The date looks a little off. You take a closer look. The details are crisp, and the lettering appears slightly doubled. You begin to wonder. Could this be one of those rare error coins? You send it off for grading, and the results blow you away. It's an uncirculated, high-grade Lincoln Wheat Penny from 1957 with a certified double die error. Suddenly, that 1-cent coin is no longer just pocket change, it's a prized piece of history. Collectors love the 1957 penny not only because it's one of the last wheat designs but because of its potential for surprises. Some variations are so rare that only a handful exist. They're highly sought after in auctions and by private collectors alike. These coins represent more than just monetary value. They're a piece of mid-century America. A time when the world was changing fast. When cars were big, televisions were black and white, and kids could buy candy for just a few cents. Holding a 1957 penny is like holding a tiny time capsule from that golden era. And now, the part you've all been waiting for, the value. Among the finest known examples of the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny, with an incredibly rare mint error and preserved in perfect, uncirculated condition, one stunning specimen was sold for a remarkable total of $81,000. That's right. A single penny. Just 1 cent worth more than many cars, college tuition, or even a luxury vacation. It's incredible. It's real. And it's a reminder that treasures don't always come in the form of gold bars or pirate chests. Sometimes, they're hiding in plain sight, right in your own collection, or even your loose change. So what should you do next? Start looking. Search your coin jars, your family's old keepsakes, or even rolls of pennies from the bank. Keep an eye out for 1957 wheat pennies, especially ones in pristine condition or showing signs of unusual minting. Compare them to photos of known errors, and if you think you've got something, send it to a professional grader. You never know. You might be holding one of the most valuable pennies of all time. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most iconic coins in American numismatics, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny. You might think it's just a simple copper cent, but trust me, this coin holds stories, mystery, and incredible value that many people don't realize. If you love coins or are just curious about what might be hiding in your old change, stay tuned because this one is a fascinating journey through history and treasure. Let's start by stepping back in time to 1945. The world was changing rapidly. World War II was coming to an end, and America was shifting gears into a new era of peace and prosperity. In the midst of all this, the United States Mint continued to produce coins that would become the everyday currency for millions, including the Lincoln Wheat Penny. This penny wasn't just any coin, it was a symbol of resilience and continuity, bearing the image of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the iconic wheat ears on the back, a design that had been in circulation since 1909. Now, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, with no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D, and San Francisco, marked with an S. The mint mark is located just below the date on the front of the coin, and it tells collectors exactly where that penny was produced. While all 3 mints produced millions of pennies that year, it's the ones in exceptional condition or with certain rare characteristics that catch collectors' attention. You see, by 1945, the mint had become quite efficient, but errors and varieties still occasionally slipped through, making some coins extraordinarily rare. Some 1945 pennies show slight variations in the shape or spacing of the numbers and letters, while others feature minor die cracks or even doubled dies, which is when a design element appears doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. Coins with these traits often command a significant premium, but even without errors, the value of a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny heavily depends on its condition. The vast majority of pennies that were used daily over the past 75+ years have wear and tear, scratches, discoloration, and loss of detail. Those worn pennies are worth only their face value or just a few cents to collectors. However, pennies that were carefully preserved, maybe tucked away in a coin album or forgotten in a collection, retain their sharp details, original luster, and clear mint marks. These uncirculated coins are much scarcer and more desirable. So, imagine holding a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny in your hand that looks nearly brand new, shiny, with clear wheat ears on the back and no sign of wear on Lincoln's face. That coin is like a time capsule, untouched for decades. Collectors prize these coins because they are a perfect snapshot of history. What really drives up the price for some of these pennies, though, are rare mint errors. Take for example the famous 1945 S double die obverse. This particular coin shows a noticeable doubling on the date and the inscriptions, making it stand out from a normal 1945 penny. These error coins are extremely rare and highly sought after, and when authenticated and graded by experts, they can fetch staggering amounts. Now, you might wonder, just how much can a 1945 Lincoln Wheat penny be worth? If you have a circulated 1945 penny, it's probably worth only a few cents or maybe a couple of dollars if it's in really good shape. But if you hold an uncirculated specimen or one of the rare mint errors, the value can skyrocket. One exceptional 1945 Lincoln Wheat penny, with a pristine mint state grade and an authentic mint error, was sold for an eye-popping sum, $78,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. A single penny, minted over 75 years ago, commanding a price that many people dream about. It's a powerful reminder that the coins we often overlook every day can hold incredible value, both historical and monetary. So, next time you're sorting through your old coins, or your family hands you a jar of pennies, take a close look at those Lincoln Wheat pennies, especially the ones from 1945. Check for mint marks, examine the details, and consider getting them professionally graded if you spot something unusual. You could be holding a hidden treasure in your hand. Thanks so much for watching this deep dive into the 1945 Lincoln Wheat penny. If you enjoyed this video and want to explore more amazing coin stories, mint errors, and rare finds, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. There's a whole world of numismatic wonders waiting to be uncovered, and I'll be here to guide you every step of the way. Until next time, keep collecting, stay curious, and happy hunting.